This is a story that takes place 2,000 years ago, during the last era of the Han Dynasty. An era filled with chaos, better known as the Era of the Three Kingdoms. A story filled with political intrigue, captivating action, and military strategy that will make us think hard and be amazed at the same time. During the course of the story, we will be accompanied by the two main characters in this series, namely Sima Yi, a young genius from the Sima clan, who plays a role behind the scenes and often makes brilliant strategies, and Donghua, the leader of the hit squad known as the Handicapped Warriors, whose name will change to Zhou Yun as the story progresses. And this is the storyline of the Ravages of Time. It is said that everyone at this time believed in recurring dreams. This dream was once experienced by someone from the Chao family, and the dream contained the prediction that in the future the Chao family would be destroyed by someone from the Sima family. That's why people surnamed Chao will avoid people surnamed Sima as much as possible, and will even kill them to escape this terrible dream. They did this due to limited information, in which the Chao family themselves did not know the real identity or name of someone who would destroy their family in the future. This recurring dream has also been experienced by someone else. The dream he saw was so brutal and beyond imagination that it would be impossible for anyone to believe it if he told it to the outside world. A dream that shows a spear-wielding warrior acting alone and destroying the Chao family. The man who saw the dream hoped that this incident would actually happen, because that would change things and make things interesting. A dream that showed him the embers of revolution. Located in a town called Hinai, to be exact, at the location of the Sima clan family residence. We will be shown several elders from the Sima family who are debating over a problem that forces them to choose one of two options. That is, surrender and hand over the Sima family's wealth assets to Su Lin, a military commander of the Xiliang army, or refuse to submit. In the same room, there was also a young man who wondered if the debate that was being carried out by the three elders was just a pointless debate. And that man called Sima Yi, the main protagonist, was the one who had the dream vision before, and after having the dream, the courage that he possessed increased to the limits of his imagination. Because of that, in the problems that are currently being experienced by the Sima family, Sima Yi came to a conclusion and suggested killing Su Lin, who was trying to bring the Sima family into submission. Because by killing him, all the problems they are currently experiencing will really end. Hearing what Sima Yi had to say, it was only normal that the three elders were shocked. Because the Su Lin they know is an advisor who works directly for Donghua, a cruel tyrant who is expected to become the leader of the world in the future. So, the Sima family had to give in and do what Donghua wanted so that the Sima family would have a good future. It was also discovered that the Su Lin they were arguing about was now on his way to Wen County, which was not far from where the Sima family lived. Next, we will move on to another place, with the sight of several fleets of ships on their way to Wen County. Of course, these fleets belonged to the Xiliang army, which was under the direct command of Su Lin, the advisor, as well as the first military commander Donghua. The purpose of their trip this time was to collect food as well as money and salaries for the Xiliang troops, which they took from all the families in the city of Hinai. Su Lin here also had two trusted subordinates named Zhao Xian and a lieutenant general named Ma Fang. Ma Fang here believed that after this trip, their ranks would be promoted immediately. However, Zhao Xian was still worried about the Sima family, who were the richest in Hinai city, because they refused to give their food and wealth to the Xiliang army. The fact that Su Lin directly intervened on the trip also shows that the Sima family has a very important role. Seeing Su Lin, who had been standing in front of the deck of the ship and had remained silent without saying a word until now, Ma Fang was surprised to think that Su Lin was in his serious mode. The scene moves to the location of the Sima family, where the elders of the Sima family are still somewhat against Sima Yi's plan to kill Su Lin. And they thought submitting to Donghua was a very wise choice, for by this time Donghua had already dethroned the emperor, and had the princes who succeeded the emperor under his control. With the help of Su Lin and Lu Bu, who became Donghua's two main forces. In the elders' opinion, Sima Yi also gave the reasons for his decision to the three elders. If, naturally, the emperor could die because the emperor was at a disadvantage. And he thought that if the Sima family surrendered to Donghua now, then it will affect the Sima family in the future, where they will completely run out of money, which is the foundation of the Sima family's main strength as merchants. Although Sima Yi's words of refusing to submit to Donghua were felt to be good for his clan. However, it was not wise for the elders to kill Xulin because it would only make Donghua angry. And what are the benefits? After Sima Yi drank the tea made by a female servant named Xiaoming, Xiaoming also explained that it was true that Donghua was a very strong figure. However, he still couldn't get the full support of the other kingdoms, and there were still many factions that were against his ruthless dictatorship. And if they managed to kill Su Lin, then of course Donghua's strength would soon wane, causing many forces out there to feel afraid of the Sima family, who had shown their existence. But this option is a very risky step. However, if everything goes well, then the Sima family will get something to prosper the clan. Elsewhere in the course of the Xiliang fleet's troop, an unexpected incident occurred. When a thick fog appeared that came from nowhere and began to cover their line of sight. This unpleasant feeling made all the Xiliang soldiers immediately go on alert. Along with that, a large number of pieces of wood appeared to be floating on the surface of the water. This brought their journey to a halt after their ship got stuck. This dangerous situation made a soldier suggest to Su Lin that he get into the cabin for a while to avoid the danger that could arise at any time. But he did not leave it because previously he had received an assignment from someone not to leave the ship's deck no matter what. Not far away, you can see a person standing on a floating log, ready to stop the Xiliang troops' ship. After his position got closer to the ship, his stature became clearer. He is a man who wields two hammer maces. And from the two flags on his back, Ma Fong concluded that the man was from an army of assassins who had never failed in carrying out their mission. They are nicknamed handicapped warriors. Of course, the presence of this man in front of the Xiliang troops meant that the Xiliang troops had become the main target of the mercenaries, who then immediately jumped on the ship and caused trouble in the midst of the Xiliang troops without fear, so that the fight could no longer be avoided. Just like his nickname, handicapped warriors, where this one assassin doesn't have a complete body part. This man only has one arm, but he takes advantage of this deficiency by adding a chain that is tied to his severed arm and making it a weapon in every fight to finish off his opponents. Realized that the Xiliang troops would not be able to face this assassin. Zhao Xian also asked for help from his own son, who has sword skills that are capable enough to take care of the assassins who are now going crazy on the ship. Because Zhao Xian's son was on a different ship, a soldier went to fetch him. After finding him, the soldier also reported that Zhao Xian asked his son to escort the main ship that was suddenly attacked. The man, who apparently was relaxingly enjoying his sleep, also told the soldier not to speak too loudly because he has a very good sense of hearing. And of course, this man is the second protagonist in this story, namely Zhao Hua, aka Zhou Yun. Back on the main ship, the crazed assassins on board seemed to be unable to be taken care of by the Xiliang troops. And in order to keep Su Lin, the military commander, safe, several troops also put up guard around him. However, the guards around him also had to be defeated by the assassin in the end. And now Su Lin really no longer has any soldiers to protect him. It was at these critical moments that Zhao Hua showed his action. He jumps from one ship to another using a long stick that lands him on the main ship, and thwarts an assassination move that nearly kills Su Lin, which makes a duel between the two inevitable. From another direction, you can see that Su Lin, who had just nearly died, was immediately shocked. But for Zhao Xian, it was a normal thing, and for now, he didn't think Su Lin needed to worry anymore. Because he believes that his son is able to beat the assassin. And the duel was still going on.
没问题，不出2招，取你狗命！左去右回。
After being hit by Zhao Hua's fierce kick, the assassin who was thrown into the water suddenly disappeared. Of course, it seems the mysterious man managed to escape. But at the same time, Zhao Hua also heard something approaching the main ship. Feeling that there will be danger, he also expects all troops to remain alert. And sure enough, from the other direction, another assassin appeared aboard the ship and quickly ran towards Su Lin. This assassin is equipped with a knife on one leg that looks like it's been partially cut off. After attacking Zhao Xian, he also jumped up and released a sharp blade attack from his feet, while trying to defend by using a sword to block the sudden attack. But sadly, what Su Lin did was in vain, followed by the assassin, who immediately left the location. This crushing attack cost the military commander his life. And not only Su Lin but also Zhou Hua's father here had to be affected by the opponent's attack, which caused him to die on the spot. Zhao Hua, who had now lost his father, received the attention of several soldiers, who saw that the grieving Zhao Hua had been kneeling for several hours. The soldiers thought that he was a very filial son. At the same time, Zhao Hua also heard several footsteps moving quickly towards him. He again had to draw a sword from its scabbard to fight two very mysterious warriors. But both have quite skilled swordsmanship. The fight was stopped when Zhao Hua realized that the two people were not enemies, where the two soldiers were assigned to bring Zhao Hua because someone wanted to meet him. Zhao Hua, who was brought by two mysterious warriors, arrived in a secret room. His arrival was also immediately greeted by Ma Fang, who was still alive, and explained by Ma Fang, below is a secret room that is not known by the troops. And the people who were there were only allowed to enter with permission given by Su Lin. Of course, the fact was that Su Lin was still alive and was now standing in front of Zhao Hua. The Su Lin who was previously killed turned out to be just a soldier who was deliberately made to look like the real Su Lin to trick the enemy. As a military advisor under Donghua's direct orders, naturally, there would be many people who would seek his life. That's why it's a precautionary measure to keep his life safe. Su Lin here also felt very regretful because he had to lose one of her best generals, and that was Zhao Xian, the father of Zhao Hua. Su Lin also promised that he would tell Donghua all the contributions made by Zhao Xian after they returned from this trip. Since they were all still on the battlefield, Su Lin hoped that Zhao Hua, who had just lost his father, would not have to be too sad, because his task now is to inherit the will of his father, who has died. Zhao Hua replied that it was Su Lin who didn't need to worry about him because he wasn't sad anymore. For Zhao Hua, the father who died in the line of duty, was considered to be able to save the lives of 80 members of the Zhao family because he did not neglect the task that had been given to him. Su Lin immediately laughed when she heard Zhao Hua's words, which determined everything very accurately. He reminded himself of Lu Bu, who was almost like him. The difference is that Lu Bu, whom Su Lin knows, is a very cruel person. Here, Su Lin also praises Zhao Hua, who has a fairly extensive understanding of martial arts, and likes the attitude shown by Zhao Hua until now. Therefore, Su Lin would accept him as a foster son if Zhao Hua so desired. And Su Lin confidently said that Zhao Hua no longer had to worry about losing his father like before because Su Lin felt that no one would be able to kill him. Not even the assassination squad that was rumored to have never failed a mission could defeat him. For this offer, Zhongda also said that if Su Lin adopted him as a child, he should not regret it. Zhongda's answer sounded more like a threat than joy. But Su Lin felt very interested in that answer. It was then that, from another direction in the distance, Ma Fang again saw a group of assassins, but this time they were seen with their leader, the One-Eyed Man. And the One-Eyed Man pointed at the ship on which the Xiliang troops boarded, felt that the remaining troops would return to attack them. Ma Fang immediately ordered all troops to guard the entrance, and all crew members went into standby mode. Seeing Ma Fang's attitude that immediately took the initiative, Su Lin advised him not to panic too much, especially since the enemy's position was still far away from them. And there was a high chance they wouldn't attack either, for all they knew was that Su Lin, who was the target, was now dead. However, Su Lin wondered who the real identity of the One-Eyed Man was. From another direction, Zhongda said that he knew him because, a year ago, this One-Eyed Man had come to the Zhao family residence. At Zhongda's words, Su Lin also thought that the One-Eyed Man's intention to go as far as possible to the residence was to get his head, and Zhongda confirmed it. Zhongda also revealed that his father, who met the One-Eyed Man, had no idea that this person was actually a murderer. Zhao Xian only saw him at a glance and immediately liked him, until finally appointed by Zhao Xian as an adopted son. And of course, the One-Eyed Man was Zhongda himself. This made everyone immediately take a wary stance. But there are still irregularities related to this problem. Because what everyone knows so far about Zhao Xian is that Zhongda is an illegitimate child, not an adopted child. And then it was explained by Zhongda that if Zhao Xian was just making up stories and deliberately making Zhongda an illegitimate child, it was because he didn't want people to look down on him because he didn't have a male biological child. This is why Zhao Xian never reveals the truth. On the other side, the hit squad burned the One-Eyed Man, who turned out to be just a doll. Burning the doll would be a sign that they would carry out the next plan. Among the assassin squad is a familiar figure, namely Xiao Meng, whom we previously saw as Sima Yi's servant. The Xiliang troops who saw the incident saw that the hit squad was carrying out the action by burning someone, which made him wonder what exactly the brutal troops were doing. In fact, what the assassin squad was doing was sending a code address to the assassin squad leader, Zhongda. But even though Zhongda had revealed his true identity, Su Lin still didn't seem to believe it because Zhongda was not blind like the One-Eyed Man. In that case, Zhongda emphasized that, if he really wasn't blind, he even had a very good sense of hearing. Because of his good hearing, he realized from the start that Su Lin, who had been standing on the deck of the ship all along, was a fake. Because his voice, which had asked for help before, was different from the original Su Lin's voice. And in order to truly prove who he was, Zhongda then took out a metal eye patch with a skull crest. And this is where everything is finally clear. If Zhongda is the leader of the hit squad or the One-Eyed Man who has long been on a mission to kill Su Lin, while leisurely walking in the other direction, Su Lin was here praising the person who had devised the strategy 1 year ago and made the arrangements on that day. Of course, he was the one behind the scenes planning Zhongda's action this time, which made Su Lin want to know who the brow of the strategist was. Su Lin also really liked Zhongda's calm demeanor, even though he was surrounded and had nowhere to run. But what a pity, said Zhongda, who interrupted and stated that the person who became the father would normally die. Just like Su Lin, whom he now considers his adoptive father. Not long after, Su Lin returned to call his special forces to arrest Zhongda. And now the total number of special forces that Zhongda has to face is 15 people. With this many special elite troops, Ma Fang as well as the others felt very confident they could beat Zhongda. Even for them, Lu Bu would not be able to escape from such a siege. While stretching, Zhongda also said although he has never met Lu Bu, he has a theory that says it is easier to defeat dozens of elite masters than 100 ordinary troops. Meanwhile, from another direction, Xiao Ming released an arrow tied to a rope, which would then become a path for Zhongda to escape. But before leaving, Zhongda had to complete his task of killing Su Lin and the dozens of people who were now carrying out a siege against him. Seeing his subordinates fall one by one at the hands of the one-eyed man who performed all kinds of unexpected tricks made Su Lin, who was starting to feel scared, wonder if Zhongda was a monster that could even rival Lu Bu. The leader of the 1st Xiliang military division, known as Su Lin, was finally declared dead that day, but Donghua was even more excited, because the monster that had previously lost its killing intent had finally woken up again. And of course, he is the most formidable commander-in-chief, Luofeng.